When you have to sit down and do the guest list and decide who's going to sit next to who, that was when I almost gave up.
Oh
I was like, I don't know.
Did you have a big wedding?
I had a huge wedding.
Really?
A huge wedding. And now that it's over and I look back, I'm so glad I did that just because it's the only time in your life where all of those same people are going to be in one room.
Yeah.
But I have a very modern family.
Okay.
Lots of marriages and half siblings and it was the first time my mom and dad had been in the same room since I was like, I don't know, 6 months old.
Really?
Oh, wow.
So my friend, I don't know if you've ever, do you know who Tig Notaro is? She's like a comedian.
Stand-up comedian. Yeah.
So she and I grew up together. So I was like, can you come and while we're taking pictures, do some stand-up? Because then nobody has to talk to each other. And it was amazing.
Very smart.
All night long. And they never even crossed paths.
Oh my gosh. Where'd you get married at?
I got married at the Sherwood Country Club up in Thousand Oaks.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. And when was that?
12 years ago.
Congrats.
2007.
That's cool.
That's huge in
My
Hollywood.
my goal was 1 year. I'm like every anniversary, I'm so good at this. I'm really good at marriage.
Is everyone that came to the wedding or family and extended family, did everyone have to travel into California?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, AJ's family is all from California or lived in either LA or San Francisco, so it was kind of easier for his family. And all of our friends were here, and everyone who was on days at the time was there, and so it was just if we're inviting this person, we have to invite these 5 people. And so it was before I knew it, I had 300 people on the guest list, and was we need a bigger space.
Well, that was our biggest thing because when we got engaged, we instantly were we're going to have a wedding because we've been together for 8 years before we got engaged. So we're let's not wait. We planned, we didn't officially plan it, but we're we're going to do it. We're going to do it in Mexico because everyone has to. We put a deposit down on a place.
Okay.
And then as we were going into everything, I was how hard is it? You get a place, you get some food, you invite people, and that's it. Mm-hmm. You don't think about the invitations, the shoes, the dress.
Oh my God.
I mean, it went. Yeah. And then the guest list is dropping a pebble in the water where every circle, if you invite just one person from circle 2, everyone in circle 2 is invited. If you invite one person of circle 3,
that's right.
So you have to make that decision. Then you start having these weird feelings of who gets to come and who doesn't.
And you know what? They'll never forget. They will never forget if you do not invite them. I still hear about a handful of people.
Oh my gosh.
But I hadn't talked to you in a year, but now they're my best friend again. It's
that's what's crazy about life and timing, because even us, if we got married tomorrow, there might be someone I meet 2 years from now who becomes ride or die until the day
totally
I'm gone.
And I can't believe I wasn't at your wedding.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy, yeah. So I don't know what we're gonna do. The eloping, financially, just sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
The lack of time, it'll take way less time, obviously, than planning a big wedding. Mm-hmm. But then there's still that feeling of I'm the only child.
Oh,
and I talked to my parents.
You have to have a wedding.
I know.
Poor mom.
I actually talked to her though, and I think she was pretty cool with no matter what we do, because she would be there. At least our parents would be there, first bloodline, her sister, and our brother-in-law.
And my niece.
And your niece, who's going to be 1, yeah. So we're going to think about it, but we're on the same page, so at least it's not one of us are ripping at the other to be
okay,
let's get married tomorrow. So we're just
and also all the money we'd be able to put towards other things.
Yes. So this was my big regret of a big wedding was, we started with one budget and we ended up with 3 times that budget. And I was could have bought a house.
I know.
Wow.
Should have bought a house.
That's so crazy. Where did you meet your husband?
I met AJ. So I have worked in restaurants my whole life. That was sort of my main gig. And while I was trying to be an actor and dancer, was really what I wanted to be. And I moved to LA in 2003, kind of on a whim. I had only been here once before, and it was really cold in New York, and my best friend was moving out here. And I was going through a bad breakup, and I was I got to get out of here. I want to go somewhere where I don't know anyone, and I don't want to date anyone. I just want to be free. Mm-hmm. And I moved here, and I was looking for a job, and a friend of mine recommended this new restaurant that they were building on La Brea in Wilshire, and said, I know that they're opening this new restaurant and they're probably hiring staff. Go check it out. So that was the 3rd day I lived in LA, and that was the day that I got hired there and met my husband.
Stop it.
It was just meant to be. It was
so
just
did you guys kind of know right away that there was something there?
No. He had a girlfriend.
Hey,
He had a girlfriend at the time, and in fact, I would be embarrassed to say that, except that our rabbi told this at our wedding, so it's out in the open now. But yeah, he had a girlfriend, and I knew like during the training, because he was doing this like one-on-one training with everyone, like this role play kind of thing, where he was trying to throw everybody off, and he asked me to name all the single malt scotches or whatever, and, thinking I wouldn't know. And I had been bartending in New York for 5 years. I was like, okay, well, we got this, and this. And he was like, oh. And I was like, mm-hmm. And that's sort of been that's been our relationship now for 16 years. It's like, oh, wow, you know that. And I'm like, mm-hmm. That's our dynamic.
You're like, don't challenge me, honey. I got this.
I got this.
That is awesome. And because you started in what year did you start like acting? You didn't start in 2003.
Oh no, I started when I
90s.
was like 6 years old. I started in the 80s early.
Oh wow.
I'm dating myself, but yes, I did my first play, Rumpelstiltskin. I will never forget it. It's so funny because I have a picture of me holding a baby doll that was supposed to be my baby doll that was almost as big as I was.
Cute. Good luck.
6. And that was when I kind of got the bug. I was like, yeah, I got to do this. I have to do this.
Now,
all the time.
Didn't you also go to University of Texas and got a degree? No,
I went to Texas A&M. Oh,
oops,
that's my rival.
So sorry.
Only because I didn't get into UT, so it's okay.
But you got a degree in psychology.
I have a degree in psychology.
That's so interesting.
So my mom was like, you can do whatever you want. She was always very supportive of, pursuing the arts. She also felt like acting was where I should be and what I should be doing. But her thing was, you have to get a real degree first because I want to make sure that you can, get a job if it doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she did. I haven't really had to, use it for a real job really until now, I think. But I met all of my best friends in college. So, I mean, what a great... I think so many people need that buffer between like living at home and like going out into the real world. And I think that time that I spent in college gave me all the tools and skills I needed to just take off for New York after that, which I did.
So you knew immediately you wanted to go dance?
Yeah, I had been dancing my whole life. That was really, I wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to be a Rockette. Like, I was like, this is where I want to go. I had, like, obsessed with musical theater. I got into AMDA in New York, and I was like, it's an excuse to go. I've never been. Like, let's just go. And it, I learned in that first year of school there that I'm a horrible singer. And so I was like, at auditions for musical theater, they don't let you dance until you sing 16 bars. And if I sing 16 bars, they don't let me dance. And so it was kind of in this terrible, vicious cycle. Wow. And I think the universe kind of put me out of my misery because I had a really bad injury, and then it was over, and I had to kind of decide what I was going to do next.
But then you came to LA and had so much
That's your
success.
husband in 72 hours.
Yeah, there you go. Meant to be. Booked days 9 months later.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like just supposed to be here at that time, and so I'm very into listening to instincts now because I just you never know where it's going to lead you.
It's kind of nice because that's what we've realized too. Of like, I feel like I always had the idea that you should know like what you want to do, which I also think is a kind of an interesting narrative that I don't really agree with. Like when you're trying to tell like a 16-year-old like make a decision when I feel like I was a different person at 16, 18, 22, 25, 27, 30, 31. I was a different person 3 weeks ago. Like you keep on growing and changing, and I think that should be a little more encouraged these days because there's so much opportunity that we should be able to try, and traveling's coming easier, and like that's awesome. You've dabbled with so many things, and
I just you just have to roll with it. I think if the entertainment industry teaches you one really important lesson, it's that you just got to roll with it because it's never going to be what you think it's going to be. It's never going to happen on your timing. It may not ever happen at all. You just have to kind of wake up, listen to what is coming at you, and go with it. Because if you try to control it, you're going to be miserable the whole time. And I've definitely been in that. Like, I've lived that, and I was like, this sucks. I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. But I think the more you relax into it and don't have any expectations and just enjoy the highs and lows, and, it can be really wonderful and fun and liberating to be an actor.
Well, then also, too, you wear a lot of different hats, though, because don't you and your husband own a restaurant in Texas?
We're building one, yeah. It's been a very long process.
Really?
It was kind of by accident, too, because we got rid of all of our restaurants. Our last one here in Los Angeles was like a total flop. Which is a whole nother story. And so we thought, well, this is it. We're not going to do any more restaurants. We're going to kind of pivot. I went into hospitality recruitment because, it's still my business, but I could really be in a different part of it. And he started a technology company that was about, restaurant inventory and cost management and stuff. And we thought, well, this is great. We've set ourselves up perfectly to be available to our child and still make money and work on our own schedule. And we moved to Dallas, and he just got the bug. He's afflicted with this compulsion,
is.
Right? Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And he saw a space, and he was like, "I want you to come see it." I was like, "No, no, I'm not doing it." And I went and saw the space, and I was like, "It's terrible. I hate it. I don't want to do it. Forget it." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, you're right." And then he went back to the realtor and he was like, "Do you have anything else that you can show us?" And he said, "Well, there's this beautiful property that's being restored right now. We can show it to you if you want to see it." And so he went to see it, or they sent him the flyer online. And he said, he came downstairs, and my husband has like he's devoid of emotion. He came downstairs and he was like, "I have goosebumps." And I was like, "Who are you?
This is big.
What do you mean? I think I should see this." So we went and walked through it, and I was like, "Ooh, I have goosebumps too. It's really cool." So it's there's a area in Dallas called Oak Cliff, which was kind of its own municipality for a while, and there was a mayor. The most famous mayor of Oak Cliff was the Centennial Mayor. He's the one who erected all of these statues all over Dallas, like the Robert E. Lee statue. I mean, not great stuff, but of the time in the 30s. Hosted one of the presidents who I can't think of right now, and it was kind of a big deal. And this was his house, and so his name was George Sargent, and he lived there in the late 30s all the way until he passed away, and then left the house to his son. Who then passed away in the late 70s and didn't have any heirs. And so the property kind of fell into disrepair and became a condemned property. And this developer who developed this whole area of Dallas, his name's Jim Lake, he bought this house in 2011 and made it his pet project. And he's been slowly restoring it back to its natural, beauty. And he pulled all the artifacts and everything were still in the house. Like, he pulled all that out and had it all framed and so beautiful, and had it zoned to become a restaurant. And so we came upon it right as all that was being completed, like the zoning and stuff.
Cool.
So it's, it just has such a rich history, and I love that, there's all this stuff that's still there that really represents this whole history. And if you go to Dallas or somewhere like that, there's so much new development, like everything's new, and this is so old and it's so authentic and real, and like it just
has the old school charm.
Yeah, it just stands out in this sea of apartment buildings and like brand new cookie cutter houses and stuff. Is this old, gorgeous, meaningful house. So we're going to do a really cool American eclectic menu and banquet space and parties, and I can't wait.
So when it comes to interior of this, is that something you guys have a vision, or do you bring a team in? How does that work?
Well, the house is a craftsman, so it kind of tells you what it's supposed to be. And like the fireplaces and stuff are still standing. And but yeah, I mean, we've been making a lot of those design choices now as we get closer to opening. Picking out wallpaper was a little tricky because you don't want it to look like, grandma's bed and breakfast, which it could easily do. But you also don't want to modernize it so much that you lose all this history. So trying to find, wallpaper and furniture and, art and knickknacks and things like that that appreciate the history but still bring it into 2019,
Exciting. So when's it going to open?
That's the question of the day. That's the question of the day. We are trying so hard to get open before the holidays, but I'm not sure we'll make it. We'll see. So hopefully in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
That's going to be so
So
exciting.
cool.
And then if we can just back up, because I'm kind of curious, even though you're like, it's a long story, maybe we can do a shorter story of it. It's up to you. What was the restaurant in LA, if you don't mind sharing? And what was like the rise of it, if there was? Because I believe there absolutely was. And then what kind of challenges and like what did you learn from that? Because I've never talk to a restaurant owner, especially in LA where I hear it's much more difficult. I'd be so interested in just like that experience, if you wouldn't mind digging into that a little.
I'll share it. It ain't pretty. But it's definitely shaped a lot of my decisions going forward. So, I mean, we had restaurants called Luna Park. So we had Luna Park on La Brea and Wilshire. We had the original Luna Park in San Francisco and the Mission that was open for 16 years. And both extremely successful restaurants. Henry's Hat, by all accounts, was a very successful restaurant in Studio City. And so we've had, and we took these restaurants through the recession. So it's not like we had not experienced hard times. Like, it was very difficult at times to just manage all of that through this economic crisis.
Yeah.
You know, because the first thing people cut out is going out to eat, right? Yeah. So, you know, and profit margins on a restaurant are very, very low anyway on a good day. So you're just like trying not to go into the red every day. But by all accounts, very successful. We made a lot of money through those restaurants. And so we sold Luna Park, LA, when the lease came up in 2013. And someone bought it, and they continued operating it for a couple of years until, you know, it just wasn't making money. And they closed it. And the landlord called us and said, you can have it back. I'll give you the keys, no money, here you go. It's fully equipped. Do whatever you want. And we were like, you know, you can't say no to that.
Yeah.
We've been in this space for 10 years. Like, of course we'll do that. That's amazing. And it was such a weird, and this was right after I left Days the second time. So it was like, I don't have a job, and here's a free restaurant, and you know, it'll be great. So we kind of partnered with our old chef who has a restaurant in Puerto Vallarta. And so we called him and said, you know, let's do something together. Let's do, you know, a menu based on your place, and we can kind of cross-promote. So we called it Pata Salada, which means like salty foot. It's like, you know, what you would call a kid who's always at the beach or something like that. And he came up and designed our menu, kind of doing that Baja Mexican. You know, we had 100 tequilas and mezcals, and like I was learning everything about tequila, and it was just such a huge learning curve, but really fun. You know, we did a new design. Now, at the same time, LA is undertaking like its biggest public works project in the history of LA, and building the subway down from downtown LA to the beach. And one of the main stops is going to be La Brea and Wilshire. So, you know, I don't know if I feel like it was the timing of the subway's construction was delayed, and we were ready to go a little sooner than we thought. And so when we opened, like that whole intersection was just closed for like 8 weeks that we were open. I mean, it was devastating, and nobody wanted to go to that area because the traffic was terrible. I mean, traffic in LA is terrible anyway. Sure. So, you know, it was like we were on this corner that we were so familiar with that was becoming a different corner and undergoing this terrible transformation. And, you know, it's just terrible timing, and maybe not, you know, the right concept. I don't know. I mean, I still dream about it, and like, where did I go wrong? Like, this was just so bad. And yeah, I mean, I won't lie, it was probably the worst time in my life. I, you know, turning 40, I think, at the time, and my restaurant was gone, and I wasn't working in television, and I was just, you know, I just felt like all of everything was just falling apart. Yeah. And I said to AJ one day, we should get out. Let's just go. Let's go to Dallas. We can afford a house there. You know, we'll just start over. My mom's there. My sister's there. We just need to change our life. You know, we need to like turn the purse upside down and shake it out. Yes. Like, it's time to do that. And he was like, no, I've lived in California my whole life. I'll never leave California. And then, you know, I'm just like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know how to really get out of this or to move on with my life. And I think it just took him a couple of weeks. He came back in and he was like, you know, I think we should move to Dallas. I think it's time for us to move to. I'm like, oh, it's your idea now. Okay. I agree. Let's go. So, it was a weird time because you're just embarking on this thing you never thought. You feel like you failed completely. And now 2 years kind of post that time, it was the best thing I've ever done in my whole life. Like, it was the right move at the right time. It got us kind of back to square one, back to, to really working together to figure out what the next steps in our life, making really smart choices that, maybe not the easiest choices, but the smart choices to, get our financial management back under control and get a real job and be with my family who really kind of needed me at the time and I needed really badly. And having Charlie with her cousins and, my daughter, all that stuff, it just worked out great. And now we're kind of at this place where it's like, all right, everything's good.
We made the right
choice.
Like,
we can do anything. We are survived this,
Isn't energy crazy, though?
Yeah.
Because with entrepreneurship, even life in general, you try things, they don't always work, but then it will lead you down a different path that was supposed to be your path anyway.
Exactly.
And that's...
I think sometimes, that's kind of where we were when we were deciding whether to sell Luna Park or not was, we can make this work, but if you get rid of some of the stuff that's like clogging up your whole life and you open up that space, something else is gonna come to you, and it's exactly what happened. And so I don't want to sound like a super like energy weirdo or anything, but really I think it's like clear it out. If you want more stuff good to come to you, that's how you do it.
Oh, yeah.
Shake out the purse, baby. Shake it
out.
out.
Out that purse.
Yeah.
I might have to borrow that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than steal it. I like that.
Yeah, so, and there, no guts, no glory. I'm always going to be someone who's going to take risks.
Sure.
But I think, maybe a little bit more calculated now going forward.
But I feel like nowadays so many people glamorize being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff you got to do. Get your hands dirty, get in there. So for anyone that maybe right now is a new up-and-coming entrepreneur, has an idea, what would be maybe your best advice to them since you've been there and seen every side of it?
I don't know that there's advice really that you can give to an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I think that you that's either like in you or it's not. There's
Definitely.
no, you can't teach someone who doesn't have that entrepreneurial brain how to do it. And you can't stop someone who has it from doing it. There, it's kind of like I joke with AJ. It's kind of his disease, but it is. It's like there's no changing that. So I would just say, be prepared for a lot of ups and downs. There is no clear path from point A to point B to be successful. You're gonna, it's all about trial and error and withstanding the error. And if you can do that, eventually you will fall upon success.
I think it was Winston Churchill who had the best quote ever. He goes, success, I'm going to butcher this, but success is being able to maintain enthusiasm moving from one failure to the next.
Yep.
Yeah. And expecting that failure is part of it. It's not, I think I really grappled with that a few times is like, God, why can't I just be good at something? Why can't I just like make this thing work, Right. But really, it's the failure is what makes you a success. Like, you just have to go with it, roll with it, like we said earlier. You just have to
fail forward, baby.
Yeah, and just persist. I mean, really, it's statistical at the end of the day. If you keep going and you keep, working towards something thoughtfully and, with more and more experience, eventually you will find the success you're looking for.
And then fast forward back to your new restaurant. What was the name again? I'm sorry. Did we
The
ask
new one is the Mayor's House.
The Mayor's House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
That's
it's
great.
the Mayor's House.
That's gonna be really exciting. And then what will be your role there? Like, what's are you gonna like? Do you and your husband like get your hands dirty? You're there. Do you have like a team, or are you gonna show up every day, or like what's kind of the role?
Well, with all of our last restaurants, we're both very hands-on, working service, training. I did all of the financial bookkeeping and all the, HR, and I was working service and dealing with parties and, I mean, you can't not do that. That's why you build it. It's fun to do that.
That's what I would like to go in and be like,
Right.
Yeah.
I love, I've worked behind the bar for a zillion years, and so that's my happy spot. I love to work behind the bar. I will probably do that, from time to time at the mayor's house. But I think this one I'm actually going to be a little bit more hands off because since the last restaurant, I actually have a full-time job, recruiting. And so I don't know that I'll have as much time to dedicate to that. I'm bringing in my mentor, Julie Reiner, who's a James Beard nominee, doing the cocktail menu, and she's coming in a couple weeks. And so she's putting together all of that for us this time. And we have a terrific chef that's going to come on board, and AJ will be there every day. And so this will be one that, I've been very involved in getting it off the ground and getting it built and funded and all that kind of stuff. But on the day-to-day, I think I'll be a regular patron.
That's so cool.
Love it.
Yes.
I feel like I don't know if we would ever do, like,
I feel like one day we
who
would.
knows? Yeah.
We'd talk.
I don't recommend.
Building
I
something.
don't recommend working
it?
with your spouse. Not if you want to stay married.
I was going to ask you, because we've worked on a lot of projects together, and we actually get along pretty well, I'd say. But
Do you and your husband, like, are you both like the, like, I'm in charge kind of deal? Like, this is my...
I think that the reason that AJ and I work well in business is that I'm good at the things he's not so good at, and he's excellent at the stuff I'm terrible at. So we complement each other that way. The thing that, can catch us up is that we're both leaders. We're both in charge.
there you go.
And so the things that we don't agree on, we can really, we can grapple over those things. But we're good at fighting.
Hey.
That makes sense.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Like, we'll duke it out, but we'll also end the fight. Like, it's,
Right.
One of us will win.
I think
Usually me.
having those common interests, though, as a couple, it's just another thing that you're able to bond over or talk about or have a connection.
Yeah.
Because so much that I feel we talk about, it's...
Because I feel you're a little more passive. Like, you kind of, like you said, she has her strengths, I have mine.
Yeah.
But she's also kind of like, as long as it's a good idea, you kind of just let me make
as long as
the
I'm
A or
like,
B
whatever
decision.
you want, honey.
Yeah, we don't do that in our house.
You're like, nope, that's
nope.
not gonna.
No, we both have very strong opinions about everything. I think AJ is a little bit more willing to be that. If it's just not worth the argument, he'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna go now.
Yeah, just
We're like,
All
go
right,
with
fine.
the flow. But we agree on most things. If there's something I'm just absolutely dead against, you'll know.
Yeah.
and we've been fortunate that the things we've worked on though hasn't also had like we've had a lot of projects, but I don't think anything where there's been that kind of level of like money investing too.
yeah.
Like I bet you the pressure's different than like the podcast we made an investment over the years or different businesses you invest.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine the cost and risk to reward
Team
of
of
like a
employees.
Right.
all
Well,
over.
as a restaurant owner, I mean, the success of the restaurant is your income. So
Yeah.
if it's not making money, you literally are not making money. You're working,
Wow.
60 hours a week, and your waiters are making money, and you are making zero. And so, and we've definitely been through those times.
Sure.
But that's the investment. That's
Yeah.
why that's the beauty of ownership is that when it's doing well,
It's,
you're
Yeah.
doing great.
Yep.
Invest wisely.
Are you going to do more like word of mouth, more like it's a busy street, it's popular? Are you and your husband big or have a team with like social media ads, and have you gotten into that world? Or?
We're doing all those things. We have a publicist. Never open a restaurant without a publicist. That would be my second piece of advice for
Okay.
a restaurateur.
Good to know.
So we have a good publicist. Right now I'm handling all of the social, but certainly after or as we approach opening and it opens, we'll probably have a team doing that. Never underestimate the power of food photos on Instagram, and I'm not very good at photography, so I know that's my
Yeah.
weakness. So we'll have people doing all that stuff, but it's also a busy corner. It's we will have a very important local chef who will probably have a lot of his own publicity going
Yeah.
on, and so it'll be good.
That's
And
so
then,
cool. Well, let us know when you open because we'll do a shout out for you.
Totally.
Get
Thank you.
we'll see who follows us from Dallas. But hey, maybe it
A
doesn't.
lot of people. Dallas loves days.
That's true though.
Yeah.
Because we look at like we have this this new text message service where because I feel people are slowly getting more comfortable with receiving text messages. Where back in the day it was a little like it's still a little like personal.
Invasive.
But if you do it, yeah. But I think it's opening up that a lot of people are going to do this. We have this text service, but because of the area code, it lets you know like what area they're from. So it'll come up Texas or whatever.
Oh, perfect.
And Texas and the Carolinas, Ohio, I think were like the biggest. Like every time I look at a new number that's like coming in, I'm like, wow, like we have a big.
New York pretty big too?
New York's big.
Yeah, I believe that.
We have Days fans everywhere.
We have Days fans everywhere.
Do you get stopped a lot, like out and about? Do you feel? Or
not as much as I used to, but I haven't been on as much as I used to be. So, but yes, sometimes. And my daughter thinks it's so weird. Like, Mommy, how does she know you?
How old is she?
She's gonna be 6 in a few weeks. So
wow.
She's when the Emmys were here, she was very excited about trophy night. It was like a big deal that Mommy might get a trophy, and I was like. So she would draw me pictures, and honestly, the pictures looked like the Emmy. She was like trying to practice drawing it. She's so sweet.
So is she like Texas then?
Yeah, I mean, she says once in a while that she misses LA because she likes the beach, and there was a pony farm here that she likes. So she's, she misses the ponies, and she misses the beach. But no, I mean,
girl.
She's got lots of friends there, and her Aunt Bo
cousins,
is there, who she loves. So.
You have family. That's the thing we miss the most is that our parents and closest like family, not one person lives here, and they're in Ohio and New Jersey. So far. Even Dallas, at least it's a quicker flight.
Yeah, 2 major airports. It's really easy.
Yeah, it's like boom, boom, like you're there. I don't know. We've always talked about it. I don't know if one day we'll ever go somewhere else or not. I'm not sure, but
I don't know. But it's the first time in 20 years that I've lived in the same place as any of my immediate family. So it's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, especially having a kid,
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And have you seen you are liking like Texas in general? Like it's like the.
Well, I'm from Houston, and so it's not that different than kind of how I grew up, except it's not nearly as hot. Thank God.
How far is Austin from you?
Austin's about 3 hours away.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great city. Yeah.
He's never been.
Never been. Been to a ton of cities. Never landed there though.
Austin is like if like San Francisco and Los Angeles had a baby.
Cool.
A little bit.
I've heard like some really cool stories about it, and I just feel like it'd be a good place to be, and I feel like the entertainment industry is kind of happening there. And do you audition do you send things in, or how does it?
I have an agent in Dallas, and I was like, well, I'll just get an agent while I'm here and see if there's anything.
Yeah.
I audition so much more now than I ever did before because there's studios in Albuquerque and New Orleans and Austin and movies shooting in Oklahoma and like just crazy. I had no idea.
So you audition locally in Dallas or on tape?
It's usually on tape. I've set up I have a room where I like just do on tape stuff.
It's my dream.
And I mean, it's great. I had no idea. I thought, well, I'll probably get 1 or 2 auditions this year, and
Yeah.
Hey, that's good though.
So it's great. NBC is actually building a studio in Albuquerque right now. They just announced it. Netflix has one there right now. They do Better Call Saul there and a couple other things.
Love that.
Love cable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wearing all these hats then, if you were at a dinner party and someone asked you what you did, how would you answer that?
God, I know. It depend. Well, it would depend on what dinner party I'm at.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm at a dinner party in Dallas talking to restaurant people, I would tell them I'm the director of recruitment at One House. And I would give them my card and try and get their business.
Yeah.
And make them a client. I think, in my neighborhood and stuff, I'm Charlie's mom, and, that's that. And, when I'm out here, I'm an actor, or I'm trying to be an actor, and you might have seen me on Days of Our Lives or whatever the latest thing is. Yeah.
That's so funny. I always feel like I do the same thing. I never know what to say. Like, I act full time, or sometimes I'll say like I'm an actor on a soap opera, so that they'll ask what soap opera rather than if I say an actor, because then they'll say, what have I seen you in? And you have to name shit, and it's weird.
Like, no.
So I'd rather at least say I'm an actor on a soap opera.
That's how I usually approach it too.
Uh-huh.
I'm an actress. I work on a soap opera sometimes, and they're like, "Oh, really? What soap opera?" Because I don't want to like assume that they would know, even though who doesn't know? Like, what rock are you living under?
Yeah.
And I say, "Oh, Days of Our Lives. Have you heard of it?" Marlena! And I'm like, yes. Wasn't she possessed?
Yeah.
Yep. I play her daughter. And they're like, wow.
That is the most referenced.
Yeah.
Her possession.
Really?
Is that what you call it? Possession?
Jim Riley. Yeah. He was He's the one who went on and did Passions. He created Passions.
Okay.
Wow. Did you guys ever work together on days, or didn't really cross paths?
I don't even think.
I interviewed you on the red carpet once. I think that was the first time I met you.
That was like.
I think that was the year you won, maybe.
It's my good luck charm.
Come
Trophy
back,
night.
girl.
Yeah. There's a few people. Like I was just talking to James Reynolds, and he, like we haven't had like any scenes where we would actually sit and talk, and that's where you build relationships, when you're in the makeup room or in the dressing room and you've got 4 scenes, 6 scenes.
Right. When you start practicing together, and then you're like, I
catch
want to do
up.
this scene right now, so tell me your life story.
Right.
You end up talking for 20 and then rehearsing for 7, and then you get called up and you have to
You're like, but I made a new best friend today.
Exactly. Yeah, a few people we have. Yeah, you and I haven't crossed paths.
I don't think so.
And all that. But for all the Days fans too, I'm just curious about your whole experience on the show in general. Like from when, like, I'm curious how what you felt when you first started, the vibe of soaps, and also the vibe on set compared to
what it is now.
today.
It's, every time I walk into that building, it's like walking into a time warp. Like, nothing has changed, like, in the building at all. And in fact, almost all the people that work there haven't changed either. Like, it's a lot of the same people are still there from when I first started.
Yeah.
I was a fan of the show. Like, I watched the show since I was little with my sister. So when I first got the job, it was like, this is super weird. I'm at the Brady pub, and like Marlena is my mom, and I did that whole trippy thing for a while. So I still have moments where I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. So what do you do, like, for a living, mommy, while I'm like half naked under the bed and making out with some new guy, right? I think I wanted to do it so badly at the beginning that I think I clung to it a little bit too tightly. Like, it just meant everything to me at that time. And
of course, yeah.
I was 26 years old, and like, this was my first great job and big break and whatever. It was like just that time in my life. And I think if I could kind of give some advice to the younger me, it would be like, you don't need to, just do the job and enjoy it. Don't be so stressed out about it all the time. I also took over for Kirsten Storms, who's like wildly popular, and I loved watching her on the show. And so I knew that there was this like bar I needed to work really hard to reach. And I didn't feel, and sometimes still don't feel, like I've ever quite reached that, So it's just a lot of pressure to put on yourself as a young actress and her first gig. Now, I don't feel that way anymore.
It's like, because when's the last time you were on Days?
Well, I came in to usher Claire out, so that was maybe a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about a year ago.
So it's such a time warp in there.
It aired recently. I think it aired in the summer, maybe.
Yeah, we're so far ahead now. I don't know if you. We're also. I don't know if you know. We have a like a 2 to 4 month break coming up.
So I've heard this. Tell me everything.
It's yeah, I don't even know what to expect, to be honest, but the last day we work is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and then we go
You're going to work the week of Thanksgiving?
Until Wednesday.
That's new. Oh, until Wednesday.
Yeah, so we're going to...
So, like, nobody's going home for Thanksgiving.
No. They're like, we're going to give you 2, 3, 4 months off so you can celebrate then.
Okay. Makes sense.
So we're just waiting to hear, like, for the pickup, but the energy there feels good. Like, I don't feel no one's like panicked. They're doing, I don't know how much I can actually say, but it's just, the energy's really great. I feel we'll come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have any answer. So it's like 2 months off, 4 months off. So it's going to be the first time in a few years and that's why we were really excited about our podcast studio. I was like, imagine just doing podcasts all the time. That's going to be great.
So fun. That's what I said. You guys should rent out this room and like let lots of people like me do podcasts.
Yes, girl.
If I could figure out a way, people could use it as long as I could just give them the footage and audio, and then they would edit.
Go edit.
It would be
do that, or make it an add-on. Like I'll give you another $100 if you'll do all the work and put it up on Stitcher and iTunes or whatever.
Yeah, the audio would be much easier than just all the clips, because we cut it up for like the Instagram story, the Instagram grid, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Or they pay the extra, $50-$100 or whatever to have somebody here doing the switchers, and so you don't have to edit. True. It just switches back and forth. That's what we used to do at T Radio V.
Because it's instantly edited.
Yeah, it's instantly edited. We would finish the show and they would upload it to everything. And we did live, so it was live stream. So everything was already cut that way.
What do you think something like that would cost to get a person who would, just in your experience, like that would come run a switchboard?
I don't know what they would cost. I mean, I would imagine maybe $75 to $100 an hour to also do, to make it a cool show, throw in some music, do the funny sound effects or whatever you're going to do. I mean, I think that would be a cool going rate, especially when you get your regular people who are like, this is a great side gig or a full-time gig if you're doing it. But if you look at, there is a studio here, and I've been to it a few times, where they do...
UBN, maybe?
Maybe. But I would just look at that business model. I'll think of it in a second. Maybe.
Is it through like, I think the only ones that I know are through, is AfterBuzz, where they do
AfterBuzz, thank you! That's what I was thinking, yes.
There.
So they have little studios. It's like one building that has like maybe three or four studios, but they do really well, I think. Yeah. And it looks great. And they have people full-time that are working there, switching the shows and stuff. And that's kind of what T-Radio V was doing at the time as well, and it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
That'll make us be able to amp it up and do more of it. And so we'll look around and see what we can do and all of that.
I mean, to have this beautiful room, you should monetize. Listen to me. I'm like, monetize it.
Love it, girl.
Well, you got my head cranking. As soon as you say there's a way to make a little extra paper.
Why not?
Side hustles.
That'd be really... Because you did... So you don't do any more, like, radio or interviews at all? Or...
Not really. One of my best friends in the world, Lily Melgar, who was my co-host on Soapbox, we talk all the time about what we would do next. It's hard because I live in Dallas and she's here in LA, but we've been throwing around ideas for a while, and I think that we're kind of honing in on something we really want to do, but I don't think it would be video. I think, it really would just be a podcast, and that way we could do it remotely.
Audio's huge, though. You can absolutely do it separate.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys listen to podcasts on a regular basis?
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites?
I love the Skinny Confidentials podcast.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't. Oh, I've heard of it, but I haven't listened to it.
Yeah,
Tell me
great.
about it.
Well, it's this wife and blogger and her husband. She's built this huge, incredible brand. She's just so freaking real, and I just love her.
Just talking about life.
Yeah, but she has a lot of great experts on. So anyone from like Tony Robbins to Jessica Alba and her husband. I mean, just any and every person you can imagine. Entertainment directors, actors, and they're just fun. You feel like you're right there.
I watch all the boys just mess around, like Joe Rogan and him and
Mark Maron and
Mark Maron. I've seen a couple of his. Joe Rogan's I'm obsessed with, and then I'll also I spend a lot of time on YouTube. Yeah. Like my YouTube has curated for me like everything I'm interested in, like AI videos. The future, politics, current stuff. So I'm catch up from all different types of people online. But the one I listen to the most is Rogan, because he's eclectic. Mm-hmm. Like he can sit and get high with his buddies and shoot the shit, and then he'll have on like a world-renowned doctor who's talking about curing cancer or something. Yes. And you're just like, wow. So because we initially started this at UBN. And we were doing it, and it was called Personal Growth Nation because we wanted to always make it about positivity, and we still do that, but it was too pigeonholed, and I was like, I want to be open to just talk about anything. And then when I saw Joe Rogan, I was like, oh my gosh, he has one of the biggest ones, and they literally talk about anything. That's awesome. So let's just do the Freddie and Alyssa show, keep it,
just
easy,
let the conversation happen organically.
Totally.
Yeah, so people can learn a little bit more about, because when we do interviews, even with Days, it's like people do the best they can, but it's been the same thing for 8 years. Right. Like, so what's going to happen? I can't tell you.
Right. I can tell you in
then you move to
July.
Yeah.
Right.
And they need to start, like, my recommendation is, like, they should interview us about 3 weeks after we tape it and then log it, because I'm excited about what I filmed today.
Right. Well, it's also hard to remember,
in 8 months about it.
Whatever 6 months or however far ahead you guys are now. But I can't imagine how hard that would be.
Yeah.
Do you listen to podcasts?
I do. I'm obsessed right now with 2 different podcasts. Like, I love true crime. So a friend of mine turned me on to the Culpable podcast.
Okay.
And so I've become like probably unhealthily.
Really?
Like,
Oh, I have to
obsessed with
check that
Because I'm
out.
like on their Facebook page now, and I'm like,
As
you know, anyway.
should be.
And I love Dax Shepard. I think he's
Armchair
so
expert.
great. And I'm training for a marathon right now. And so I have these long runs, right? These like sometimes 2.5 hour runs. And his shows are long. They're like sometimes 2 hours. So I can just listen to one podcast the whole time. And he has those experts on. And, you know, I'm also like a full-fledged hypochondriac. Like, I mean, for real, like they both are. And so when they have doctors on, I'm like, oh my God, I do that. That's me. Like,
Love it.
terrible.
That's a good.
Terrible.
We were just talking about that when we work out, if you just listen to a podcast versus music, it goes by so much quicker.
So much faster.
Especially running.
Oh my gosh. Especially if you're running on a treadmill or something. I'm just like, please, I'm going to fall asleep on this thing.
Yeah.
When's your marathon?
It's on December 14th. I'm running the Dallas full. So I ran the half last year. And my sister is a 2-time Ironman, like super fit. She teaches fitness. She's just like perfect that way. And so she ran the full last year and I ran the half. And I was like, right, next year I'm going to run the full with you. And she's like, oh no, I'm going to run the ultra this year, but you just go ahead with your cute self and run the
Oh
With
wow.
your 26.1
little
miles.
sibling rivalry going on there.
But that is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I finish, and I'll probably only puke a few times, but
So is this your first big full?
it's the first full marathon I've ever done. Yeah, so
Wow.
I've 8 more weeks, I think.
What's training like that? Like,
It's time consuming is what it is, but it's, 6 days a week. You run 4 days a week, and I do strength training 2 days a week, which I did not do for the half, and I totally injured myself. So the strength training is actually really important. But now I'm in the back half of my training, so every week to 2 weeks I have anywhere from like a 12 to 16 mile run, and it's hard.
wow.
It's hard, but I'm doing it.
Wow.
So you've never. So will the 26 miles be the first time the day you run it that you'll ever do it?
Yes. Yeah.
So what's the most you'll run up until
16 miles. Yeah. So
And that's
I
just
mean, I
how-
think
that's
mentally,
like-
I totally get it now, because I think mentally, if you run 16 miles, you're like, I can do 10. Like, I can
Right.
do 10 more. It's really more of a mental trick,
Yeah.
At 16 miles, you go, okay, well, now I can just forget about that, and really all I'm doing is 10 miles. That's easy. So it's like this mental switch that
Wow.
kind of.
So will you?
I mean, I say that now. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
talk to you
see.
in December.
I'll be like crawling across.
Do you
the finish
think
line.
you'll bring like ear pods when you do that, or are you more of a in the?
I
nature?
brought AirPods with me last year, and I didn't listen to anything because there's so many people there, and this course is really cool. They have speakers like all the way through, so they're just blasting music at you, and you run through these beautiful neighborhoods, and people are having like front yard parties in their house and like passing you stuff. It's fun. It's really fun. As fun as
As it
26 miles can be.
I get
Yeah.
that. I love running so much, but
Do you?
yeah, my dad used to do the marathons.
Have you done one?
No,
Are you gonna?
I would love to. I have a couple injuries right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
once,
maybe next year you want
right.
The goal is to get better.
What are your injuries?
I have this metal ankle situation.
Oh, well, that's a real one.
Yeah.
It comes and goes.
Now I
but
feel like a jerk.
The metal's in there permanently.
And I was
Jeez,
really,
yeah, no, you can't do that.
I know, but I'm going to be doing physical therapy to get it back to normal. But I was running like 3-4 months ago, and I was just like really doing great. I mean, granted, it was on a treadmill, so that hard impact probably
Yeah.
screwed me. And I started feeling something, and I go, oh, that's not good.
God.
And so I haven't ran since.
Oh, no.
I love it, though. I love running so much.
You know, it's really about being in the fresh air and having that time to yourself, to listen to podcasts or to listen to nothing and just like, just decompress everything. And you can do that walking. You don't need to run.
we walk a lot.
Yeah.
Nothing like a runner's high, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Did
get home and you're
I'm like, it's a
"Yeah."
good runner's high, but is it worth it? I think I could get a good high just from sleeping for 12 hours.
Totally.
Which I can't remember ever doing in the last 10 years. So.
So the 16 miles, is that recommended, or is that just what you do? Or
It's
is
part
that,
of the train. I follow a training app.
so they just said that's just like traditional. If you have a shot at doing it, 16 miles at the most.
Yeah,
and
I think I do. Like I said, it's like probably 4 or 5 of these long runs, and I think the last 2 are 16
Okay.
miles. I've only gotten up to 14 at this point.
I want to do it so bad. I've never done one either. I just want to accomplish that. Or you're like, you know what I mean? That's going to feel amazing.
When I first started, when I decided I was going to do the half last year, my brother-in-law, who's also a 2-time Ironman, took me to the track, and he's like, all right, we're going to start easy. And I was just doing like 90-second runs and like 2-minute walk and like 90-second. And I was dying. I was like, this is so hard. I hate it. I don't think I'm ever going to do this. I can't run more than 90 seconds. Like, what is wrong with me? Wow. And now it's like, you know, a warm-up is 4 or 5 miles, and I can do it. And so it's like I can look back on that now and talk to that girl and be like, anybody, if I can do this, anybody can do it, unless you have a metal ankle. But for real,
never say never.
Don't do that.
Wow.
I'll be following you with a wheelchair
girl,
just in case.
This. There's a will, there's a freaking way.
This is true. But I think it was a lesson of mind over matter, like really mind over matter. It really is.
So then you were never a runner at all, obviously.
No.
Wow.
I wasn't. I was, no.
Well, you were a dancer, though.
I was a dancer, and then I didn't do that anymore, and so that was it. I just, you know, I exercised by default being a dancer. It was never taught to me to, like, actually go to the gym and lift, like, what do you mean lift weights? Like, what is
Yeah, trust me.
But I think maybe around 2009, 2010, I was just wanting to get into better shape, and Henry's Hat was right across the street from LA Fitness, so I would just go to LA Fitness, work out, take a shower, and walk across the street and go to work. And I found a great kickboxing instructor who ended up being one of my best friends, and so I took up kickboxing, and that was because it's kind of dancey. And I loved it, and that was kind of how I learned to exercise.
Would you ever do dance classes today just for fun and exercise, or is that?
I think about it all the time.
Really?
But then I remember being, you know, like the badass, like, I'm so cool kind of dancer, you know, Broadway Dance Center or whatever. I'm like, and there's some 40-year-old, like, struggling in the back, and I'm like, just go home, you know? Like, I don't want to be that girl. No. I don't want to be like, go home, you know, be the woman in the back, but they're saying that too.
No.
So I just saved myself from that.
Aww.
Have support.
I'll do a little ditty in my bathroom, you know.
Or find a little bit like of a beginner's class, but you're obviously not.
Oh, I probably am. I mean, I don't even know. I see these videos of dancers online now, and I'm like, I could never, even at my best, I couldn't have ever done that. Like, that's just gotten so much better.
It's crazy.
You know, I did a movie. It's called To the Beat, and we just actually wrapped the sequel that's a teen dance movie, and my character's like obsessed with Paula Abdul.
Oh my
and she's
God.
very Southern, so everything is like straight up awesome. It's so amazing. And so I'm like doing terrible 80s dance and stuff like that. So that's as close to dancing as
Oh
I've
my
been in a
gosh.
while.
Did you guys see Paula Abdul? What was it on? America's Got Talent? Like the big finale? And she came out and she was like rocking her thing.
She is.
I said, okay,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah,
Okay.
she is not the woman in the back that needs to go home.
She's like, I'll be front and center no matter.
Till I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be up here tapping until I'm 90.
Sounds like Tina Turner is too,
I
man.
know.
Look at all these legends. So you can do
Freaks
it.
of nature. No.
You have a lot of cool stuff going on. You got the
Yeah.
mayor's house. You've got the marathon. You've got a movie coming out. A lot of good stuff.
A lot of good stuff.
Is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap? Any other cool stuff? Not that you just mentioned a bunch of cool stuff.
Give us more.
Give us more. Having a movie in a restaurant and marathon, that's it?
Well, I would say check out To the Beat. It's on Netflix. I would say follow the Mayor's House Dallas on Instagram for updates on when we're going to open.
Awesome. I'll do that as soon as we're done, too.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
wanna
awesome. And
pay
you can
attention.
find me on Insta and Twitter at Marth27.
Awesome.
There's always more news coming, and we'll share that later.
As it comes, yeah. Absolutely. Well, cool. And I want to thank you
amazing.
again
Thank
for
you.
spending, we've been on for almost an hour. Time always goes by so fast.
So fast.
but
I'm
for
going to
spending
rent
this
this
time with
studio from you
Girl.
next time I'm in Los Angeles.
When-
Hit me
Whenever.
up, yeah. We have all the equipment.
I'm going to write you a check, and you're going to say, okay, this is a business, and now we're going to
Now we're gonna
now
do
we're
it.
going global.
Done and done.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. And then if we ever make it to Dallas, that'll be our first stop to
Excellent.
come and get some food.
We need to do like a day's event there. We should
That
do
would
it.
be awesome.
Yeah, come to Dallas.
Smart idea.
You
Days,
could- we
Days
could do
does
it.
Dallas.
You know,
planned.
Got it.
just a quick side note to think about.
Okay.
Having a day's event at the mayor's house is like half the battle of like planning an event. Is
Yeah.
that the venue would be
Yeah.
included and
Yeah.
it would benefit the restaurant. Everyone would come and
Yeah.
support. It would be really, really amazing. So if you'd
Yeah.
have me, I
His
would come.
wheels.
Just
Spin.
dial up Greg, me,
Yeah.
or Bruce Evans. Hey, we want to do an event
We're planning
at
something.
the mayor's house. Yeah.
They might even do like another like next year. I know they did like Denver, or they just went to Austin.
They went to Houston.
Oh, they went
Yeah.
to Houston.
Yeah,
Oh, so
they
they
went
probably
to
won't do
Houston.
Dallas, but
Dang.
there could be an independent one. Just ask a few
He's
friends
done a few
to just
independents.
show up and
I think Deidre's gonna come. She wants to do it.
that's cool.
So let's get her all possessed and stuff, and like yeah.
If you have her float in front of the mayor's house, you would have that thing
So-
packed every day.
My gosh.
Oh my god! I just like had flashes of Halloween at the mayor's house.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh.
See, that's how my brain works. Yeah.
Yeah, always cranking. I love that. But thank you again so much for
Thank
kicking
you.
it with us. And everyone who's listening, if you're in Dallas or traveling through, check out the mayor's house and
I'll have
Yeah.
a drink with you.
have a drink. I love it.
Yes.
All right. Till next time, everyone. Talk to you later.
Thank you.